talk and tell me just, what a criminal, totalitarian mind control cult Scientology is. And these were people that were in there, that were working right alongside of L. Ron Hubbard. So I wrote that expose, but I also exposed the secrets, the sci-fi nature of Scientology that people weren't aware of. And, basically when you get to a certain level, things seem to work. Listen, hypnosis works on people, but ultimately, when you go up the levels, what happens is that guys like John Travolta and Tom Cruise, they don't know so deep into this mind control that they'll buy anything that's fed to them, including the story of Lord Xenu and the Galactic Empire and all that.
Alien ghosts.
Yes, and all that stuff. Matt and Trey invited me to come down. They were doing this episode, and one of the most fun things about that was getting to see how they put that cartoon together, and it's amazing. They sat with me. I told them the whole story. I walked them through all the levels of Scientology, punctuating it by saying, this is what Scientology actually believes, which was their flashing banner through the show, and I'll take credit for that.
Absolutely.
And they, what they did was they had a transcription machine, and it printed out everything I said, and then basically they have all the composites, they have all the characters, the animation is all there, they have all the animation cells and everything else, and basically they just do a cut and paste job. They pull the stuff out that's good, and they have the characters voice the stuff, and it became Trapped in the Closet, which to my knowledge was the highest rated episode of ever, and it was also nominated for an Emmy Award, and it was coincident with Comedy Central's 10th year anniversary. Nice. So it was a big show.
Was that the episode where the credits were all just Jane and John?
Yes,
Doe
we all
John
took,
Smith?
I a consulting credit, but then they were like, you know what, Ebner, we're going to do this to stick it to him, and we're all going to be anonymous.
Because the last line in that episode is, sue us. We don't give a damn. Sue us.
And then the credits roll. John Smith, Jane Smith, John Smith, John Smith, Jane Smith. So they really did a good job with that. And remember, a prominent Scientologist was the voice of Chef, which was Isaac Hayes.
Right. Yes.
This guy was living in the Celebrity Center, for God's sakes. And, he got all, angry about it. He was like, oh, how dare you. He left the show because of that.
They killed him off.
Yeah, and, and the beauty of that is that he was like, how can you attack my religion? And it's like, this is what we do. We've attacked every religion.
It would be weird if they didn't.
Yeah. And, so Isaac Hayes departed, and the beauty of that is, guess what, motherfucker? We own you. In other words, they could bring, and they have brought Chef back. And they can bring him back anytime. They own him. They own the image, the likeness, and everything else.
So did somebody else play the voice?
No, you can just put
dub it.
He lays down so many words in South Park that they can just
combine them.
Edit. Yeah,
there's a whole episode. The episode where they kill him off is just pre-recorded dialogue.
There
from
we go.
Episodes.
Yeah, because he
awesome.
didn't come back. From
there we go.
And I have to say that's probably the most brutal death that they've ever done on South Park. It just keeps going and going. It's amazing.
Oh yeah.
Can I ask if you were ever
die hard?
Yeah. Can I ask if you ever encountered any harassment based on your expose or your environment?
Oh yeah.
People going through your garbage
for years. But you have to understand that what the trick that I pulled on Scientology when I wrote that story, I had been made aware that they're going to come out, disclose everything they can find out about you. So my lead paragraph in "Do You Want to Buy a Bridge" was, "I'm an ex-drug addict. I've this was the Clinton era. I said I've masturbated and inhaled at the same time, for God's sake. I've been under psychiatric care. I've been arrested for this, that, and the other thing, and I owe the IRS $6,600. Now take your best shot." So in other words, I put it all.
He also shoplifted that candy bar.
Yeah. But see, they didn't. So they had no ammo. They had nothing to. What are you going to say about me that I'm not willing to say about myself? And I did in the lead of the story.
Did you have anybody following you?
Oh yeah. They still do.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely. They don't give. They're tenacious like that.
Wow. Got time and money.
Remember, Scientology is not the fake snake in the mailbox cult cult that, say, Synanon was,
Yeah.
or, cults that came before, murderous cults. They are worried you to death. So they put me on notice. When the article came out, they said, we're suing you. And I said, oh, really? Oh, you are? And
I know a guy named the Pitbull. Bring it on.
No, I made it very clear to them. That if you were going to sue me, I know a little bit about libel laws in this country, and there's a couple of things you have to prove. A, you have to prove it's not true. B, you have to prove malice. And C, you have to prove damages. I got a subpoena in my back pocket for every celebrity Scientologist, and believe me, we will have a discovery because I'm going to open the books on all of them and find out if their donations decreased as a result of a story that I wrote that they never read because they're not allowed to read it.
Wow.
So in other words, I had them over a barrel. There's nothing they could get. They have sent PIs after me. They show up at my house, and it's just like I'd walk out of my house, I'm taking out the trash, and I'd be like, oh, there's a silver crown Victoria with tinted windows. And I felt like I was on The Sopranos,
Yeah.
I'd walk up and tap on the window, they'd roll it down, and I'd be like, you're working for Scientology, you're a PI. Stay out of my trash, okay?
Right.
Because they went through my trash.
Right.
They did shit like that, And it's just been cat and mouse for years,
Wow.
and they don't scare me in the least. This is a cult that is going the dwindling way of the Hare Krishnas. They've totally had the power sucked out of them. My prediction, and I'll put a pen in it, for Scientology is because they have no power, and all the celebrities are constantly ridiculed, and in many cases, Danny Masterson being brought up on charges of their own and things like that. He's got 4 rape charges. Carl, I know you know the guy. You think he's a good guy.
Well, what little I know about him, I know a little bit.
But in the end, they have no power. They are real estate rich, though.
Yeah, they are.
They have billions of dollars in real estate, and this is what gives them that veneer of power. But at the same time, they're going to disappear. What's going to happen is, as you know, they bought the old KCET building up on Sunset Boulevard.
Oh, yeah.
They bought that whole, our bastion of public broadcasting, and they own that now. So you're going to see them going full propaganda digitally, and they will go the way of the internet, and they'll disappear, and nobody will pay any attention.
What do you
because
think
the secrets are all out.
What do you think about Trump coming out and saying he was going to try to get rid of their tax exempt
Bullshit.
status?
That's what's happening with journalism. This guy Yashar Ali for Huffington Post that was propagating that, he doesn't know what he's talking about, because I was like, Donald Trump, for him to go after Scientology status would be doing the right thing. My argument is he's incapable of doing the right thing.
It's all the proof I need.
He wouldn't know how.
So it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
But yet, Yashar Ali, this guy who changed his name for whatever reason, he's you should look into this guy. I'm not going to, he does a lot of good stuff, but he was a Democratic operative, this guy. He changed his name. He owes one of the Gettys almost $200,000 that he hasn't paid. There's a lot of interesting things you can dig up about this guy, and I'm wondering what his agenda is. And he's really a wobbler when it comes to journalism. Call yourself a freedom fighter. Call yourself an antagonistic. Call yourself an operative. But when you put out stuff that is patently untrue, like the idea that Donald Trump will do anything against Scientology, that's not journalism, man. That's just you yelling on the internet,
Well,
we know something about that.
Yeah.
Well,
It's your job, though.
It's just misinformation to jam up the.
Yeah.
Well, before we get out of here, I wanted to ask, what do you think? You've seen so many publications come and go, Premiere and Spy in particular were 2 favorites of mine. So what's going on now with the things going forward? I mean, do you feel that
going on now? Well,
in journalism, saying,
okay.
Is there any hope for anything still meaty to be put out there?
That's a great question. I knew that my profession was on the decline probably around 9/11. I remember just after Labor Day, when I was writing for all those slick, glossy magazines that were paying me all kinds of money. I mean, and flying me first class. I mean, I had a good run with the Slick magazines for decades. Well, when I got to New York on just after 9/11, I was all set to pitch my various editors in New York, because that was the center of the universe for print journalism. And usually what would happen is I'd go after Labor Day and I'd pitch 10 stories to each publication, and I'd come back with enough work to take me through at least New Year. Well, that wasn't the case, and I started talking to an editor, and I was like, if the smoke is coming out of Ground Zero, I had gone down there and done some reporting. I was just like, what? But editors still met with me, and they were like, Ebner, we're thinking of putting a flag on the cover of the magazine. I think it was Premiere that I was pitching. And I was like, isn't it time we started asking questions, like about the Saudi royalty that hightailed out of here, 48 happened? I mean, we need to be asking questions. And that was the problem, is nobody
asked
everybody
questions.
wanted to put an American flag on it and say this will be okay, and it's not okay. So I sensed right then and there that journalism was on the decline. Since I can only break it down to you in dollars and cents. I'm not bragging when I told you I used to make thousands of dollars for a feature, but let's go back to the top and we'll finish it there. I just did a story for the Daily Beast, okay? David Blaine, alleged rapist, okay? Back in the day, I would have spent months researching that. I would have been in the courts. I would have been all over the place. I would have gone to London, to talk to the investigating police. I would have done a lot of things. And I paid very well for that story, okay?
Spotlight. Yeah.
Okay? Now today, I turned that story around, sourced it out, corroborated it, and turned it around in 5 days. And I won't tell you what I got paid, but Carl, you work in the business, that we're not making money as journalists anymore, and they've strangled us to a large degree. Unless you got a staff job on New York Times, Washington Post, blah, 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 you're not, I had a great freelance run, and it's not possible anymore. And, so that's why I turned to true crime and started writing books, because that's essentially nonfiction journalism in form. Mm-hmm. And my life is okay because of that. Now, I could sit here and complain about the publishing world, and telling you, well, wow, in 2009, I was getting six-figure advances from Simon & Schuster for a book. Now I'm lucky to get a tenth of that from a major publisher, Penguin. Or wherever. So now I can't do one book a year. I got to do two. So, this is not a good time, and we're not going to get any help from the gov. With journalism. So we're in trouble, and it's very concerning to me. And yet at the same time, I just dig in and focus on the story in front of me, and thank God I have one.
Yeah, well, thanks for taking the time to come out today.
Harvey Weinstein has no cock. That's our takeaway.
Spread the gospel.
Yeah.
Yeah, so where can people find more of your stuff?
Just email me, markebner59@gmail.com. Send a letter, carry a pigeon. You can check out, I'm rebuilding my website, HollywoodInterrupted.com. I'm putting the best of up there. I'm archiving all my stuff. I will say this, and this is a message to anyone in the media out there. I rarely ever signed a sucker contract. So everything I've published over the years, I own 100%.
Nice.
So I've got some intellectual property, and I'm having a goddamn fire sale.
All right. Well, until next time, I'm Carl Kozlowski, and with me are
Kevin Corcoran.
Ayara Stein.
And on the board, as
Dr.
always,
David Robinson.
All right. Thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you next week.
Bye.
Woo!